Carla and Lou here from Brrraaains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short, and it's Freddy's Nightmares, an episodic recap. Season 1, the penultimate episode of Season 1. It is episode 21, Identity Crisis, directed by David K. Calloway and written by Rebecca J. Pogro. Identity Crisis. This should have been one complete story. Putting it out there right now. This is a very frustrating one for me because I think the first segment has so much legs, so much more story to tell, and has a really strong ending that, had that been spread across a deeper story, delving deeping into the father-son relationship and bigger, longer dream sequences, we could have had an excellent episode. Instead, we have 2 segments with barely any connection between the two, and the second one is dull as dishwater, except for one thing, but I will get to that. The first segment has more than enough legs to go further. But because it rushes things, it ends up being a bit disappointing overall. Because it has to rush things.
Yeah, to get it all...
And then suddenly we're at the end, you're like, that's cool. Oh, it's over.
Yeah.
Does that mean that that's an issue? Buddy, played by Jeff Conway. Yes! Yes, Lou was insistent while we were watching it that it was a person. I wasn't too sure because I didn't see it. However, we have now had it confirmed. Jeff Conway is most famous for...
Kaniki from Greece.
Playing Kaniki in Greece. And he's about to turn 40 in this episode. And according to everyone, him, his mate, and everyone else, he may as well be dead. The way everyone acts about this. Which I found to be hilariously frustrating because I turned 40 this year.
Yep.
Can you not do this, guys? Seriously? He's having a bit of a crisis as well. I wouldn't necessarily call it a midlife crisis. Because he's not trying to get a fast car and bang younger birds and stuff like that kind of thing. Nothing like that. It's that he's not happy with the way his life may have turned out, particularly as he's consumed by corporate work. He's an architect working for a big company, and he's not particularly all that. And he's also concerned that his son is wasting his life. Now, here's something this episode does really well. We naturally presume that his son's a low-fish, layabout,
more modern thinking
and all that, and he's all about get a job, go out and earn some money, all that kind of thing. And it's like, that's actually not how this episode is at all, and it's one of the weirdest turns that I think, that's why I really want to see this one extended upon. So one evening after work, he's attacked in a parking garage. And this is where things become weird. Now, this is one of those segments as well that basically gives the game away. He's stabbed in his parking garage. In fact, he will several times throughout the episode remember he's stabbed and blood and all that kind of thing. So we were immediately like, all right, so he's dying. There you go, life flashing before the eyes, regrets, that kind of thing, and so on. But it does get weird as he imagines a world where one corporation basically runs everything. It's one of those dystopian world stories. And as agents that keep things in order and stuff like that, everybody must, conform, obey, consume, repeat, all stuff like that. But one of those agents happens to be his son, which is quite interesting. And effectively, we learned through this that Buddy was an eco-warrior. He was a save the planet, save the whales, all this sort of stuff. And that's what he's worried his son isn't, like, taken advantage of. And that, basically, he goes on trial for the crime of selling out. Brilliant.
Yeah, it's really
absolutely brilliant. The way it's drip-fed throughout to reveal that, and he's on court and he's like, when was the last time you wore your Save the Whales t-shirt? And it's like, he is a hypocrite. He's one of the... I loved it. I absolutely was so enjoying it. It is really, really cool. But it just sort of ends. It just sort of ends as Buddy dies from his wounds while his son cradles him. Like I said, I cannot, and it's making me smile now, praise enough that I love Buddy's concerns for his son, weren't about getting a job or starting a family, but rather having principles.
Yeah, I think it was,
and sticking to them.
I think one of the scenes I remember was the breakfast scene where the mum's bringing the papers in. So for the son, she brings in like the like Financial Times, like the Wall Street Journal and that stuff like that, and the other one gets like UNICEF and all these charity papers and newsletters and stuff. It's
just such a clever going. What if? Like, you've written it and gone, well, we're writing a story about, like, and all that, and someone's gone, Rebecca J. Pogro's in her head gone, what if it was the other way around? Yeah. That's different. And then thought, how do I write, and written it. And like I said, but then limited by a fucking goddamn segmental runtime of about 20 minutes.
And I think the whole thing of his morals as well, like, I think the fact that he's torn about it means that he's doesn't not care completely. And I think that's what happens in everyday life. Like, you have to get a job.
Yep.
Like, a lot of people that do like a lot of charity work don't have to worry about a 9 to 5 and things like that. And modern life gets in the way. So I feel like it was quite good, because it wasn't like, oh, he didn't care. It was always on his mind, and that's where it came back through the trial with like, oh, where's your charity now?
And who hasn't had a cause at some point in their life that they thought they felt really strongly about, and then you just don't anymore? Who hasn't? As simple as that. Maybe it's something you're doing it regretting and stuff like that as you get older and look back and stuff like that. Particularly if your life's gone in a direction perhaps you maybe didn't think it would at a certain age.
Yeah.
So not necessarily regret or like disappointment or anything like that. It's more like, oh, I didn't think that would ever happen, and here I am. That kind of thing. Like I think it's really layered, and it really could have. It had the legs to go further.
Yep.
Damn it, guys! Damn it! Because the second segment, just isn't very good. No. And this one focuses on a character called Christina, played by Kimberly Cates. Now, we did briefly see her as one of the agents as well. And at the beginning of the segment, she's talking to John at school. They appear to be friends. Yeah. Not a couple, just friends. And John, which is the son of, I should have mentioned, Buddy. Yeah. John does pop up later on as well, briefly in a scene. But that's such a fucking... Yeah, it doesn't feel... Yeah, I can't understand why John wasn't the focus.
Yeah, I would have preferred that, to be honest.
Like, so basically... she's questioning the possibility that she may be adopted because she doesn't think she's got anything in common with her mother. Now, I don't care if you don't agree with me. I am convinced this episode is just one big analogy for teenagers going, you don't understand me, mum and dad.
Yeah.
Just one big of that. Like, what if we took that idea of a teenager being a teenager going, oh, we're so different, I bet I was adopted, and stuff like that, and made that into an actual Freddy's Nightmares. That's what this basically is. But he reveals in this conversation where she's like, oh, what if I'm adopted? And he reveals he's adopted. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But also, what does that have to do with anything? Like, it almost takes away from the first episode. Like, I don't understand why it was dropped in. But then I'm like, well, there's your story then. Maybe John decides after his father's died that I'm going to seek out my real parents. Do you know what I mean? That kind of thing. And we do him instead. We focus on John. But instead we focus on Christina as she starts to dig around, finding out dark truths and ones that link her mother in a surprising turn. And this is what I said at the start of this video that I do kind of like. That links directly to Freddy Krueger himself.
Yeah, that's what we like.
We didn't expect that. And it's been a while since we've really had a link. Now, this isn't a complete Freddy episode, but it's the most brazen link we've seen in a long fucking time. We even end up at the house. What is supposed to be Nancy's house. Yeah. That kind of thing from the movie. That house that we see at the opening credits and all that. So I do like that. It's just not used very well because he doesn't appear. No. He isn't actually in it. Instead, it kind of focuses on her mother as some sort of witch character. And it's implied that she's given birth to many of Freddy's kids. Implied, like that kind of thing. Now, I thought that was interesting because, of course, later Nightmare on Elm Street movies would turn Freddy into the son of 1,000 maniacs. It was 100 son of 100 maniacs after the nun, his mother gets locked in a mental asylum and are basically raped by maniacs all night long. That kind of thing. And a later one, like that's kind of how their Freddy. You know, the nonsense surrounding the extra elements of Freddy. So I thought, okay, maybe that's a little nod towards that kind of thing, But it ain't much. There's no point because it's not really in it. There are some very good visuals though. Inside that house, that set is fantastic. Yeah. My God. And we don't just sit in one room either. We go to all over that house and we see some great fucking visuals. Very, very pleased at that as well.
Which is quite different for them because they normally have... They have the school.
Limited sets.
Yeah, they have the school. They have a house. And sometimes an office can be 4 or 5 different things. They've just changed things around. We've seen a house used a few times in episodes. Oh, we've seen that house before. We've been there quite a few times.
Yeah, just move things around, change the camera angle. Totally different.
I still think with the whole Freddy link as well, though, like overall, in the very first episodes when it was still linked, all the people that initially went after Freddy, you could have focused on each one of those families and their link. That would have been like a bit more tied in.
What you mean, like families from the movies?
Yeah.
Difficult, very difficult. I think that would have been difficult, and
It was the first episode with the cop and daughters.
Yep.
That disgusting.
Okay, I see your point. Like, maybe throughout the season, an episode every so often could have been based around one of those. Yeah, no, I think I'm down. Yeah. I think you're not so much. You don't mean the movie. You mean the people.
Yeah, like
we
episode
see.
1 or 2
Yeah, when they
with
set them on
cop.
fire in the base. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that could have been interesting as well.
But yeah, having that Freddy link's quite interesting. Like, ooh.
Yeah, it was really, really like, oh wow, we haven't done this in a while. But there were also some other cool visuals as well. Like the kid pound, so it's like a dog pound, but with the kids and stuff like that. Is kind of fun and stuff like that. And I do like the acting, the silly acting from the Wranglers as well. They've got this like they're chewing tobacco, super southern drawls going on. Unfortunately, overall, it's just not that compelling. And it treads water a lot of the time. Yeah. A lot of the time, it's like Christina just comes across like a bratty teenager. Yeah. And the dream sequences up until the end part in the house just aren't much fun at all. And with very, very minuscule links between the two segments, it doesn't feel like an overall episode. No. Go back to what I've said several times throughout. You missed a trick by not just making segment 1 the entire episode. Yeah. Really, really delving into that.
Yeah.
But on that point, segment 1, the first segment, is one of the strongest we've seen overall.
Oh, definitely.
Episode 21, the penultimate episode of season 1 of Freddy's Nightmares, Identity Crisis. You got any thoughts and you know what to do? Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It is gratefully appreciated. You can find us over at gbhbl.com, our full website, where reviews, news and so much more goes up daily. We're also on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, at gbhbl. Just search for gbhbl and you will find us out there. We also have merchandise on sale. You can access the shop via the website.